Welcome, gang. Let's discuss progressive overload. Progressive overload is essentially a principle inside your training routine that is essentially just making you increase demands on your body from week to week. Hey, Allison, welcome. In progressive overload, the reason why we need to do this is because if we don't, your body's never going to know that it needs to make a change, right? The most important thing about building muscle and losing body fat is the fact that we need to have a strategy in order to build muscle. Progressive overload is an excellent way to see progress week to week. So we know that we need to make it harder every single week. That's the only way we're going to be able to do it, right? So how does that look, though? What are we doing? This can look like a few different ways. The first way that we could do this would be to increase volume. So this would mean more sets or reps. If you are somebody who is training 3 sets of 10 reps every single week with the same weight and you're not seeing results, this is exactly why. Because if you're doing that every week, you're just telling your body that that's all your body needs to do. Your body's not going to change unless we have some sort of stimulus to tell it needs to change. So if you're doing 3 sets of 10 reps every week with the same weight, your body's only going to be able to do 3 sets of 10 reps with that same weight, and it won't grow the muscle it needs to because you're not making it. You're not telling it to do that. So how do we do that? A few ways. Like I mentioned, increasing volume. You could do 4 sets of 10 reps. That would give you more volume. You could even do 4 sets of 10 to 12 reps and give you more volume. That's a great way to overload your system. The other way you could do it is by adding more weight. So 3 sets of 10 reps of, if you used a 5-pound dumbbell, crank it up to an 8-pound dumbbell. Especially for stuff like your squats, for your bicep curls, please keep in mind that these are going to increase in weight very, very differently. So if you are doing 5-pound bicep curls and you try to add 5 pounds to that to make it a 10-pound bicep curl, you have increased the weight by about 100%, right? You have an 100% increase. That is a huge jump compared to adding 5 pounds to your 100-pound squat, which would be 5%, right? So keep in mind, not every body part is going to be able to increase in weight the exact same way. It's just a matter of having patience and knowing that not every body part is going to be the same. And that's okay. The other thing you could do is even add some more time under tension. So instead of adding more weight, like especially for me for that bicep curl, that 15 to 20 pound jump, like your girl is struggling. And so instead of doing only 3 reps with the 20 pound, I will do the 15-pound dumbbell, but go slower on the way down and add a pause so that it still is difficult. I'm still failing out, but I'm not necessarily having to have horrible form trying to just lift more weight, right? We want to make sure we are always listening to the body and not the ego. So with that being said, if you are not wanting to increase volume, not wanting to increase weight, you could also just increase the frequency. So adding more training sessions in. I see this a lot with my girlies who are trying to grow their booty cheeks. We're training starting off with full body workouts, then we go into an upper lower full body split. Then we're going into an upper body, a lower body, and maybe another lower body. So we're getting 2 lower bodies in order to increase the frequency. And then we get to a point where if we're training 5 days per week now, okay, the glutes are not seeing the progress we are wanting, then maybe that means we just add another glute session. This could be really simple. Hi, Octavia. This could look like you're doing glutes on Monday, upper body on Tuesday, a sprint session on Wednesday, then you're going into more glutes on Thursday, another upper body. Maybe you did a push the first time, now you're doing a back or pull day. And then Saturday, we could squeeze in another glute session, but focusing on different parts. So you're not doing the same movements every single time, you're getting kind of different. So you could maybe do like a glute medius focused day and a glute max focused day and really max them out. Also, I live in Westport, so if you can hear those sirens, I apologize, but city life be like that. So with your progressive overload, it's going to be really important to also make sure that you are training to failure. When I say that, I'm not saying every single set on every single workout you do has to be to failure, because if you do that, you're probably going to get burned out. You're probably not going to feel very good. So what I would recommend you do instead is utilize what I use with my clients, which is utilizing reps in reserve, or RIR. You can also do RPE. Essentially, we're trying to stay a certain amount of reps away from failure. There's a few ways to do this. Here's one way. The first week, you would do 2 reps away from failure on all your sets. The next week, you would go 1 rep away from failure. Then the next week, you could go all the way to failure. And then the following week could be your 4th week, your deload week. So that after that week of failure, your body is like, okay, I can recover, and we've built the stuff we need to build. I'm recovering, and then let's get back to it next week. The other way that you could go about this is every set you do, stay 1 to 2 reps away from failure, and you can cycle those through. So what you could do is for 4 weeks, you do the same amount of sets, same amount of reps, but you're pushing to failure. And it might be that week 1, you're doing 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps on your squats. From there, if you get your 8 squats, right, and you are failing out, that tells me we are in a good position to keep the weight the same, keep everything the same, because you're hitting the rep range on the bottom range. If you are doing your 3 sets of 8 to 12 squats, and for every set you're getting 12, that tells me that you could increase the weight, because you're leaving reps in the tank that you could be, or gains that you could be getting, right? We don't want to leave any gains on the table. Otherwise, it's sad. We don't want to do that. We're putting in work, right? We want to see the results of our work. So essentially, stay 2 reps away from failure. Make sure that you're utilizing the rep range strategically, because if you are only doing 3 sets of 10 reps and you're stopping when you get to 10 reps instead of stopping when you are close to failure, you're not going to see what you want to see, which is a shame. So that is what I have for you for progressive overload today. Cool. What questions do we have on progressive overload? Allison, I saw you were in here. I don't know if you're still here. I'm checking. Hey, Allison and Octavia, 2 of my girlies in here. So gang, if you don't know me, my name is Coach Samantha. I help busy professional women lose body fat, build muscle, get toned sustainably without losing their minds. So I guess we don't have any questions. So what I will do for the next 30 seconds or so, I will share a little bit about what's going on next week, so you can kind of keep your eyes peeled. Next week is Memorial Day. I will be having a little Memorial Day special coming out, and I will also be having a little Memorial Day resource packet, so keep your eyes peeled for the Memorial Day resources. It is lake time, summertime, time for the pool, hallelujah. But that also means that it's time that we start to feel a little bit insecure, because more of our skin is showing, more likely. Hi, Sydney. That's my sister. So this is a time that I have found is really difficult for a lot of us, myself included. And so just a quick shout out to make sure that you have your expectations in line, and make sure that you are not too hard on yourself. Remember that you are more than what you look like in your body, okay? I did see a question from Allison. I started an eccentric workout this week for upper body, and it was definitely a win. Heck yeah. I did not have a heavier weight to go up on that was doable for my upper body, so I tried that instead. That is wonderful. Now, when I hear eccentric to me is the lowering of the movement. So are you saying that you are working in the negative instead of going heavier? And if so, for the benefit of everyone, what Allison had said here with eccentric meaning, like this would be, for example, if you're trying to do a pull-up, the concentric is you pulling all the way up. The eccentric would be you lowering back down. We find that a lot of the gains that we see actually come from the eccentric or the lowering portion. And so it would be excellent for you to do an entire workout where you're just focusing on the eccentric. That is why in my training program, all of my girlies have a pause at the height point of tension, and then we go really back slow on the eccentric, because that's where we see a lot of growth. And that's why you'll hear me say over and over again, make sure we are not, if your reps are doing this, like, what are you doing? We're not getting anything out of it. So make sure that you are practicing that time under tension. That's what's going to grow muscle, which is hypertrophy. We're going to pull, we're going to hold, and we're going to slowly release and fight gravity to give it back. Cool. Allison, low and slow. Yes, perfect. Okay, cool. Yes, I think that's a great idea. And I think I'll have to send you a message, but I think that's a great idea. And I think we are such a good fit, sister. So Octavia, my weights are limited. I do everything from home. Should I increase the reps or sets? So this is a great question. If we are working out from home and we don't have access to more weights, what do we do? Let's say you are working on your bicep curl and you are doing 3 sets of 10 reps. And let's say that you do these twice per week to grow your arms, right? What we could do is, let's say you've got your 8-pounders and that's literally all you have. You can do a few things. What I would not recommend to do is increase the amount of reps. Now, if you're doing your 8-pounders and you can crank out like 50 reps, 50, that's a problem, and potentially we need to get a much heavier weight in order to see some sort of stimulation. But if we are cranking out, let's say your goal is 10 reps, but you're getting to 15 and you're feeling like, okay, you know, it's not as hard as it needs to be, but I still have more gas in the tank, but I don't have access to a heavier weight. Get a heavier weight, or don't get a heavier weight. And what you can do is add tempo. So we're adding that time under tension. So what you could do is what Allison was describing earlier. So instead of going through your 10 reps of your bicep curl like this, go even slower on the way down. So you could do 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, and then come back up. So then you're stopping at this point where gravity is, maybe right here is probably the most difficult part, coming from gravity. So you want to figure out where's the hardest point, stop there, then complete the rest of the rep. Because remember, when our arm is straight at the bottom of the bicep curl, there's no tension, there's no gravity. So if we're pausing at the bottom, we're not doing any work. That's not going to help. So pausing here versus at the bottom is going to be better. So what you could do then is, instead of just doing full-on bicep curls, is you could do, I forget what they're called anymore, but like the half up, half down, and then full. So you could go from here to here, do your set of 10, and then from the bottom up, set of 10, and then you can do full set of 10. That would be increasing the volume and increasing some of that time under tension. So that will get you progressive overload, especially if you're failing on that, even though we're not in the 8 to 12 rep range of hypertrophy. That would be an excellent thing to do. And I think that would be my recommendation for that specific exercise. But if it's something like squats, yeah, do another set of them, increase the number of reps that you do, increase the sets. So 4 sets of squats instead of 3. You could also do tempo and pause squats. My favorite thing to do with one of my clients, Alice, I don't think she minds me shouting her out on this, is squatting, and then we go down for 1, 2, 3, hold for 1, 2, and come back up nice and fast. This is telling her body to slow down. It's practicing form, but it's also more time under tension. We also love to do the, I don't even know what they're called, but they're tempo squats again. And we'll go from 1 to 10, going 1 second down, 1 second hold, 2 seconds down, 2 seconds hold, 3 seconds down, 3 seconds hold, and then all the way up to 10 seconds of a squat coming all the way down, 10-second hold at the bottom. Oh, brutal, but she loves them. So I would recommend to do that if you do not have like a specific access to weights, then that's a great thing to do. And you can actually check out, I wrote a program for at home with just dumbbells for bodybuilding.com. And on that, there's an entire workout program that's made for you that you should be able to access for free to at least look at on bodybuilding.com's website. Now, here's what I will say. I'm no longer affiliated with bodybuilding.com, as they had stopped their program temporarily. But if it's not there, let me know and I'll try and find another way to get it to you. They also do have an app, I believe. I'm not 100% sure where everything is at with bodybuilding right now, but I do have a program for them, so you can always look up. It's called Ready for Life, and I'll put that in the, please hold, VBCom. This is probably the greatest angle of all time. Ready for Life. That's the workout program. So that program was written for if you only have access to one set of dumbbells. So it takes you through all the tempos and it increases tempo week to week to increase the progressive overload. You see that? So we're not just doing the same tempo every week either. We're increasing that too. Cool. Sid Knack, I don't know that I have seen you in one of my lives before, but hello, welcome. Actually, I think she's gone by now. Anyway, gang, I think that's all we've got. Thank you for joining. If you have more questions, feel free to shoot me a message. I am SammyLee.fit. Sammy Lee Fitness is the biz. We help busy professional women lose fat, build muscle sustainably. I will see you soon. Enjoy the weekend.